Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Creative Legacy Art Podcast. My name is Amanda Downs and I'm your host. And today is episode 7. And we have a very special guest with us again today, Miss Kelle Jolly. Miss Kelle Jolly is a beautiful person. She is a musician, a jazz singer. She is the ukulele lady, the Tennessee ukulele lady, and she just is an overall excellent, wonderful person. So without further ado, please enjoy. Today we have Kelle Jolly, and I'm so excited that she came on the show to talk to us today. So Kelle, if you would tell us about yourself and what you do.
Thank you for having me. I call myself the Tennessee ukulele lady. I've been in East Tennessee for 20 years and now most recently moved to Asheville, North Carolina. I'm an ukulele playing storyteller and media personality. I play all kinds of traditional African American music from spirituals and gospel to jazz and blues and R&B and sometimes some disco. I host and teach workshops on using the blues to document your life. I'm also a radio DJ in Knoxville. I'm the host of Jazz Jam with Kelle Jolly on WUOT 91.9 FM. I am the founder of the Women in Jazz Jam Festival, which was a jazz festival that celebrated women in jazz and women led groups, and the founder of Yukasphere Ukulele Group in Knoxville. So I teach and I also organize uh, organize people in music. Most recently, I graduated from East Tennessee State University with a master's of art in communications and storytelling studies. I'm a member of the National Association of Black Storytellers and the Jonesboro Storytelling Guild. So I also perform and teach people about storytelling. And so I do lots of things. Some of them are related and they intertwine, and I try my best to intertwine everything that I do. I just like being creative and I just use whatever I have in front of me to express myself. Like right now, I'm sitting next to hundreds of dolls and I use dolls for my storytelling. And I sometimes just like to make rooms for them, dioramas, and sew clothes for them. So I also do that too. Something I've done since I was a little girl. So I just like all kinds of artistic expressions. I am curious about the world, and I believe that we should all be living a creative life by our own design.
Absolutely. That is amazing. That's so amazing. Like all the stuff that you have done. Like I know that I met you in Knoxville through a friend of ours, Black Atticus. And from there I attended your wedding and it had a whole lot of famous people from Knoxville there. It was amazing. And so I know you as well, when I first met you, I was introduced to you as a singer, and then you also gave me voice lessons back in the day, and that was a fun time. So, can you tell us about like how you got started in your craft or how you got started in your creativity and kind of give us the story of how you started to how you got to where you are now?
I don't remember becoming an artist. I remember always thinking I was an artist. Even as a 3 and 4 year old, I enjoyed making art. And I thought that I was an artist. And I wanted to be an architect and build things. But I also thought I was a seamstress. And I would cut up my baby clothes to make doll clothes at 4 years old. So I've always had my hands on crafts. I was always curious about making things and uh, how to form things. And that just led me to be more artistic and to learn more mediums, how to handle more mediums. So as a elementary school student, I was like the teacher's pet in art, to the point where she sent me home with bags of the materials that we used in class. Whatever we were using in class, Miss Diggs at Snapfinger Elementary School would send me home with more. And whatever we were learning in class, she always used my creations as the model for everybody else. And so everybody just um, became accustomed to her pointing out my work as the example. And that led me to being even more creative or more curious about art and music. And I started trumpet in middle school, which led me to play in trumpet and French horn and mellophone in high school at Columbia High School in Decatur, Georgia. And we didn't have a chorus, otherwise, I probably would have done that too, but I did sing in the jazz band. So my visual art uh, kind of took the back seat to musical arts when I was a teenager. Then in college, I studied music education. I wanted to be a music teacher, and I continued on with my music learning and music performing in the choir and in the jazz band. And I was also a member of the theater too. So I've always had some type of creative visual or performing art outlet in my life, and I enjoyed it all from playing in the marching band and singing in the jazz band and the choir, performing and making costumes for the theater. I've always enjoyed being a part of all those expressions. And then as an adult, I just took those to the next level and started organizing in the community for other people, with other people in those same mediums.
Awesome. And so, what do you love the most about being an artist?
What I love most about being an artist is the process of learning.
Mm,
I love acquiring new skills, having new tools. The the craft or the skill that has taken me from childhood to adulthood, that has sustained me as an individual, that has created work for me, that's helped me take care of myself, has been uh, sewing. You
okay.
know, like knowing how to use fabric has really been like the most valuable thing for me, because it has helped me um, assist and support other people by sewing for them, by helping design things for them. But it's also helped me too, because I can make my own slip covers. I can sew my own curtains. I can make my own towels. I can make my own sheets and duvets, and I can sew my own clothes. And so I always say, if I was stranded on an island, a deserted island, if I had 2 yards of fabric, I'd be able to catch food with it. 2 yards of fabric, I'd be able to make shade with it. 2 yards of fabric, I'd be able to wear it, and so 2 yards of fabric is, to me, is like a treasure. And um, it's the craft that I use to make costumes when I sing. It's the craft I use to make materials and instruments. Sometimes I've made bean bags that I use to teach with. So 2 yards of fabric has been the connector to all the creative outlets I have.
That is so cool. I never knew that about you. So, fashion is really like the first part that kind of like inspires the other art that you do.
Yeah, I guess I lean on it. I don't when I'm preparing for a show, I don't feel like I'm prepared until I know what I'm going to wear.
Okay.
Like I can practice, I can know my music, I can know all the details, have my set list, know the songs, have my band together. But if I don't know what I'm going to wear, I don't feel comfortable. So it's like a big thing to me. I guess the presentation and the image, how I see myself. Like I have to see myself in the complete image of how I'm going to be successful. I have to see it.
Yeah.
and then make it for me to feel good. So I guess that's me. Maybe I'm a like a visual, very visual person, and I need to see it in my head, and then I want to see it in front of me. It has to go from my head to
To
in front of me.
reality.
I think that's like what I like about being an artist is that I can see something in my head and then make it come to life.
Reality. You're a creator. That's amazing. But yeah, what was the next question? Oh, so in the last season, we talked a lot about flow and being in the flow, and I'm still very obsessed with flow and very
Mhm.
interested to know like what it feels like for other artists in different genres, and just like I want to hear their story about flow. So can you talk about flow and what it's like for you?
Oh, I'm also very interested in flow as a communications uh, researcher, communications, uh, I don't know, I don't know, expert, but researcher, practitioner. Flow is a theory that really stood out to me as I started thinking about being a storyteller and a performer. Flow is like being in the zone. Flow is when you are acting out without any kind of barriers, acting without being conscious
Yeah.
because it's so like in you that you can just do it. So flow, I'm always very curious about flow. Mihai Csikszentmihalyi is a researcher that developed the theories, or developed theories about flow. And so I've read a lot about it and how it's been studied in people, and how he came to want to study flow um, by seeing it in his students and experiencing it for himself. So for me, flow and flow theory is all about having no interference.
I love it.
Interference can be physical, interference can be like things in your environment that are getting in your way. Interference can be voices in your head that distract you, like negative talk. Interference can, um, yeah, interference may be things that you can't control, like physiological things, like maybe menopausal sweating. Like those are like things that can get in the way. But when you can when you can concentrate on what you're doing and it's coming naturally coming out of you, uh, and those things aren't in your way, then you can have your peak performance. And I think for me, I mostly feel flow um, when I feel joy. Like when I feel joyful, I feel like my true self. Like there are times when I don't feel like that. I have like all those interferences that I just told you about. They're like salient and they get in the way. I don't feel like myself. Like if I have to like navigate those things and I'm having a hard time navigating all those things, then I don't feel like I'm being my true self. But when those interferences are out the way, then I feel like that's me. Like when you see me on stage and my voice is doing what I want it to do, I don't have any sinus problems. I don't have any physical things going on. Um, I'm comfortable. I love what the music from the other musicians on stage. I'm enjoying them, and they look like they're enjoying what I'm doing. Then I'm in a flow, and what's coming out of me, I'm not even conscious of it. It's just coming out, and sometimes I don't even think about what I'm saying. And when I remember it, I just remember smiling.
Mhm.
I also feel flow when I'm making things, when I can create, uh, when I can design clothes and stay up for 2 days. That's a flow. It's like I'm in it and I don't realize like, oh, I just stayed awake for 48 hours sewing these clothes. I probably should go to sleep now. I experience flow. I experience flow in that. So For me, flow is like the perfect combination of like preparedness and knowledge, but also just like joy. And it's just um, it's keeping me creating without the outside interferences getting in the way.
That is the most beautiful definition that I've heard of flow. It's so accurate. It just describes the feeling for me as well. But I love hearing other people describe it for themselves, and that is beautiful. So, can you tell us about your creative process?
Well, I guess I have different creative processes for different things.
Okay.
Um, but I guess if I'm looking at the big, if I'm looking at the funnel and I'm looking at the big opening before I get to the exact, is that, and I like this visual. I like this. I like your visual.
Oh, thank you.
So if I'm just thinking about like how it all starts, is that I love research. I love research, and I believe in um, reading as much as I can about what people did before me. And I've always been like that. When I was in high school and I wanted to be a cheerleader, I read books about cheerleading. And I read cheers and I started to write my own. I saw how they were written. I got ideas and I was like, oh, I would say it like this, or maybe I would do this cheer, but I would edit this. When I was started playing soccer, I started playing soccer. We called it sub freshman. That's eighth grade because our high school went from eighth to 12th. Sub freshman. I started playing varsity the first year. I read all kinds of books about soccer. I wanted to know about playing soccer. Uh, I always loved Pele. I wanted to be like Pele. I read biographies, read books on techniques, watched videos, spent time at the library. So no matter what I do, I always read a lot about it. So that's like the first step for me, after being excited about something, attracted to doing something. Um, I want to read about what other people have done. I want to do as much research about what their process and then like what they made and what inspired them. I like to read about what inspired people. So that's like my first thing is I want to do a lot of research. And then I want to experience it. So I also want to go attend other things and watch what people are doing, study people's techniques, um, learn from other people who are experts at it. Seek out people who already are ahead of me in the process. And then I just have to spend time with whatever the expression is, whether it's working in clay. I'm always interested in that. Learning new sewing techniques, or even working on my skills as a radio DJ. You know, starts with the research, observing other people and their techniques, and then get it to my own core expression, which is hard. I think as an artist, that's just something that's never going to end. Because you want to be you want to be true to your own aesthetic. And your aesthetic changes at different times in your life because you change. I mean, the cells in your body change in every few minutes and changing every couple of months.
Right.
So you're not even the same person you were last year. So that's all. That's a constant work is like getting to your honest truths and then letting your honest truths come out in whatever you're doing. So that's what I do. When Will and I wrote the Dreams of Maroon album, music for that album, he wrote the music and he gave the music to me. And then I sat in the bathroom in the dark and I just like flipped through my memories in my head and tried to like really go back into how I felt in those moments, those snapshots uh, of memories. and tried to get like feel deeply at the core, like what was I feeling deeply. And I cried a lot, but not just like not sadness, but just like uh crying that like I don't know, it's like a like just a raw feeling. I try to get at the core of my raw feelings about those memories, and that's what helped me articulate the lyrics to the songs. One of the songs is about being in Japan for the first time and riding the trains and riding the JR line and uh, getting stuck. Uh, well, being on the plane and taking our shoes off and going to jazz clubs and hanging out with people. And then we have another song. It's our wedding song. It's all about um, watching the sunset and seeing dolphins in the water and uh, going where our dreams live and being at the foot of volcanoes with our feet in hot sulfur water. So I just had to get at the core of my feelings and know about those experiences in order to write the lyrics that would illustrate and articulate exactly where I was.
Gotcha. Also, and if you don't mind, I'll edit this part out. But I also would love for you to share anything, like if anything you want to share with us, and send it to me, and I'll put it in the show because I think it'll be really helpful too to help for people to hear what I'm now when you're saying that, okay, now I need to hear Dreams of Milan, you know what I mean? So, but it can be anything that you want to share with us. I would love to showcase that as well.
What? Like what? Like what you
Like
mean?
a song from that album,
Oh,
something that
okay.
you're working on now, like I
Okay, okay.
just you don't have to do it right now, but just whenever,
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, I could.
or you can send it to me and I'll just paste it in if that.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, but I
I
appreciate.
got that.
And so
Yeah.
I was going to ask you. It's so
Okay.
many questions that I have, and I'm trying to figure out the best order to get them out. Um, can you talk? I'm just going to start with this one. Can you talk a little bit? And we have like about 6 minutes before I have to send you another Zoom link.
Okay.
But can you talk about your show, your radio show?
I have a radio show. It's called Jazz Jam with Kelle Jolly on WUOT 91.9 FM. It airs every Friday at 8 p.m. and you can listen online at WUOT.org. The show started in 2014. I was home that winter because I had experienced a miscarriage that ended in a hysterectomy. And so I was depressed, sad. I was physically broke down. I had lost, I think, probably 40, 50 pounds. So I was like really small, really weak, didn't want to do anything. I was, I just, was devastated from that experience of losing my fertility and the baby and what that all meant. And I didn't want to perform or sing or do anything. I didn't want to be around people or do anything creative. And then I got an email from Todd Steed at WUOT, and he said, "Well, we have an opening in our schedule now." Marian McPartland, who was a wonderful pianist and interviewer, and um, she had passed away, and her show that was playing on NPR was now being replaced, and they wanted a local show. And so Todd asked me if I wanted to create a show, and I said, "Well, I don't really want to do anything. Like I don't want to be around people. I don't want to. Yeah, I don't. I'm not. I don't know if I'm interested in doing anything like that." He said, "Well, radio. You get to come here to the studio. You could be by yourself. You could do this show." and it could be whatever you want. Like, we're not going to tell you, we just want you to come up with something. And so he let me think about it, and I came back and said, well, okay, maybe I could do it. and and I want to do a show about vocal jazz. I just want to play singers because I wanted to support people like me. So I said, well, I just want to play singers, and then we agreed on that, and I came into the studio, and they helped me create like a brand around Jazz Jam, and they had the marketing department design the logo, and it's and the colors and everything. And my show debuted on April 4th, 2014, and it's been 10 years of me doing Jazz Jam. And I've had all kinds of events around my radio show. I hosted singers jams around the city when it first started. I I get to celebrate and focus on singers from all around the world. There's no limit to who I can play. They don't tell me anything of what I can't do. And so it's really based on my interests and who I come across in real life. Like when I go to New York and hang out at Winter Jazz and I meet singers, I play their music when I come back. When I go to Girls Rock Camp with the other organizers and I meet singers from Iceland, I come back and I play them on my show. I meet singers hanging out at jams in Atlanta, I play them on my show. If you hand me your CD and I think it's good, I'm gonna play it, and I get to celebrate people like that. And so yeah, the radio show has been good for me being able to connect to other artists, but also exposing me to what's going on the scene. I'm always up on what's going on musically, and it's really motivating me, put a fire underneath me to get my music out there too. Because if there are DJs like me playing music to support artists, somebody's out there waiting to support me, and I need to get on it. So it definitely keeps me on my toes hosting a radio show that I get to use to celebrate great vocalists.
That's so amazing. I love the fact that, you use that to also promote singers just like you. Like, that's amazing that you're in that position and you choose to share it with other people. And I think that that just speaks a lot to who you are as a person, and thank you for that, because the world needs that. The world needs that generosity of spirit to just, you a lot of times people just use that for themselves, but the fact that, you want to share that with other people, that's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, that's what we have. I'm really an advocate for on the ground work, grassroots. Like, yeah, we could all be fans of Beyonce, but more than likely, you're never gonna meet Beyonce. But you're gonna meet the singer that's from your neighborhood that's singing at the local uh, brewery on Saturday. You can meet them and they can meet you and you can have a relationship with them. So I'm an advocate for supporting a local artist, being on the ground, on the ground, and working grassroots with people.
Love it. So we have less than a minute. I'm gonna stop right here and I'll send you the Zoom link and we'll finish. I don't have very many questions left. I'd say possibly another 20 to 30 more minutes. Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll send it right now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Okay. And so like um you kind of already answered part of a question that I was going to ask. And kind of like stemming back from season one, we did talk about getting out of stagnation and finding your flow again. And that's something that I still like to kind of add on into this season as well, because I think that information is just so helpful to people out there, because we all go through different different things in our life that cause us to stop in our creativity. And it's helpful when you know someone else, or when you can hear somebody else's story who has felt like you feel. And I feel like as artists, and sometimes just as people in general, when we go through things, we feel like I'm the only one who's going through this, or I'm the only one who's ever felt this bad, or who's ever felt like I feel. And so it's very valuable to hear um someone else's story, who has not only felt like you felt or gone through something similar to you, but who is now on the other side of it. So you can see like, okay, well, it's possible. That person was able to come out on the other side. So that's why I ask these kind of questions, because I think that it's very important. And so my question to you is, um, how did you find your flow again? How did you, and when you do, because I know it's not just a one-time thing that we go through these things, but like when you feel stagnant, when you feel stuck, when you feel like stopping your art or stopping your creativity, how do you find your flow again and get back into it?
I had to find my flow again after going through all the medical surgeries and everything from losing the baby. And so one way that I found inspiration or found my flow again was doing something new. And that's why I agreed to start the radio show. It was something new. It was still connected to music and it was still connected to jazz, which I'm interested in it and is part of my life. But it was a new aspect. It was a chance for me to still be a part of the jazz community, but do something different. So it wasn't like it was placing me right back in the same spot. It was a same neighborhood, different street, and it just felt good, and it helped me get back into the scene. So that's one way that I suggest. And one way I suggest you work on finding your flow again is to try a different aspect of what you do. Find something new within your craft. Um, Find some new method, some new technique, something. Do it. Learn the history of your technique in a different place. Like I love batik, uh, fabric dyeing, but there's different techniques in Ghana compared to uh, Japan, compared to whatever they're doing in maybe like Brazil. So it's different techniques. You can look for techniques from different parts of the world or different groups of people. So find a new way to do something old. Another way is to like revisit the history of your craft. Go back and revisit the history of it, research it, read a book about somebody who was one of the um, um, uh, innovative people in your craft, and find out what their story was. And you may find something in their story that will put you on a different path or make you look at what you do in a different way. So those are two ways I think of, think that would help you get back into the flow. Or a third way is start teaching other people, because you learn from your students when you teach. So if you're feeling kind of burnout, feeling uninspired, spend time with somebody who's doing it for the first time, and like enjoy, like piggyback off their excitement of doing something new.
I love it. I love it. That's really good advice. Thank you for that. Thank you for joining us today. This has been the Creative Legacy Art Podcast. If you like this video or this podcast, go ahead and follow us, join, subscribe, and do all the things. If you want to like or share, that helps us to get the word out and grow as a community, and we really appreciate it. You can also follow us on our Instagram page at Creative Legacy Art underscore podcast. Thank you so much. Have a great day or night. And remember to stay strong, stay positive, and keep creating.